Anyone who knows me knows I love typology, and I get a chance to show some of that to the group in St. John Lateran. Here we go. It's because I just gave her your tips and she doesn't quite know what to say. All right, here's what I want to do. I'm going to have to move up this way a little bit. It's going to be difficult if you can come up with me on this side. Can you see that up there? I'll tell you what it is. It's Adam and Eve being kicked out of the garden. And there's a tree there, right? The tree of life. And they just broke the law and they're getting kicked out of the garden. Across, what do you see there? On that side. It's another garden. It's another tree. And it's another Adam. Jesus is called the last Adam. Here you've got the first Adam in a garden, at a tree, brought about death, at the tree of life, brought about death. Here you're in another garden with another tree of death, which the new Adam brings about life. See the parallel? That's called typology. Adam in the garden, another Adam in the garden that reverses it all. Okay, now we'll come to this one here. What does this look like? Nope. It's a funny looking barn in the back, but it floats.
Oh.
Noah's Ark. Okay, so they're going through the water. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 21 says that Noah and his family were saved through water. And corresponding to that, baptism now saves you. On this side you see another baptism, water baptism. By the way, what was over top of the ark when the flood was starting to recede? What was flying over the ark? A white dove?
Yes.
What was over Jesus when he was baptized in the water? A white dove. What does water and spirit? How do you get saved? By accepting Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior and ask him into your heart? No, you get. That's what the Baptist tradition says. What the Bible teaches is that you are born again by water and spirit. Water and the dove spirit. Water baptism is how you're born again. No, I didn't. I do, yes. Okay, now we come to the next one. And it's fun to me. Typology is one of the funnest things about the Bible. Okay, now what do we have happening here? Does anybody figure that one out?
And Abraham.
Very good. Very good. Grace figured it out. That's Isaac and Abraham. Abraham took his son up to the Mount of Moriah in Jerusalem to offer his son as a sacrifice. Another father who had an only begotten son took his son to the very same place, Mount Moriah, which is the top of Jerusalem. And this father with his only begotten son also takes his son as a sacrifice to Mount Moriah. On this one, it says that Isaac carried the wood of the sacrifice to the site of the sacrifice. What is Jesus carrying? The wood of the sacrifice to the very same place that 2,000 years ago, 2,000 years before Abraham took his son. The first time the word love is used in the Bible is of that story. Take your son, your only son, whom you love. First time the word love is in the Bible. And it sounds a lot like, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. That's why. God saved the word love there, so you can understand the love that God had for his son when he gave him for you as a sacrifice. Okay, next one. See, I just love this stuff. Yeah, tell me what this is, and then we'll look at this one. I'll tell you, it's from the book of Genesis, starting around about chapter 40. There are 12 brothers. Aha, Grace was first with that one too. Good for you, Grace. How old are you?
16.
She's 16. Wow, you've got a head start on a lot of us. Okay, there is Joseph being sold by his brothers into bondage. What's happening here? This is Jesus being sold by his disciples, his brothers, with a kiss into the hands of the enemy. Judas comes and kisses him. Here's the brothers selling their son, their brother. Here are another brothers. In fact, in Psalm 80, it says, "You have taken my friends and my brothers from me." Jesus says those words in Psalms. Okay, so next one. We got 2 more to go. And then we'll head back to
Grace is back.
Okay, Grace.
Yeah.
You're on the spot now, Grace.
3 for 3 or 4
What
for
is this
4.
one? Yeah. You got it, Grace? Somebody?
Moses.
Moses leading the people of Israel through the waters of the Red Sea. Yes, Moses had horns, and here's why. Because it says in the book of Deuteronomy that when Moses went up to see God, when he came back down, his face was shining so bright that you couldn't even look at his face. How do you describe this glowing of his face? They do this thing emanating. Actually, the word is that there was light emanating from him, and when Jerome translated the Bible into Latin, he made those emanations as horns, so you could see them. But you know, okay, another typology. Moses' face on top of a mountain is glowing so much you can't look at his face. Who else was on a mountain with his face glowing? Jesus at the Transfiguration. But now this is Moses coming out of the Dead Sea, which represents being born again, new life. What is this? Jesus coming out of the grave. The new life represented the same. Through water baptism, we're given new life, we're born again, and we can rise from the dead. Now, this is the most important one of all, and it's one that Liz brought up with you last night when we were at the Sistine Chapel. You gotta look at this side first.
Jonah.
Okay? Oh, Grace does it again.
Jonah.
Bingo. So what is this? Jonah? Matthew says that the Jews came to Jesus and give us a sign. Jesus said, the only sign that I'll give you is the sign of Jonah. As Jonah was in the belly of the whale 3 days and 3 nights, so will the Son of Man be in the belly of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. And then you know that Jonah came out, and the Son of Man will come out of the earth. And so you have, this is the most common, like Liz said, the most common image of the early church of the resurrection. In the catacombs, everywhere, it's a symbol, the 3 days and then you're spit back out. And here you got what? Jesus coming out of the grave, the sign of Jonah, 3 days and 3 nights, and he comes up out of the belly of the earth. Isn't that fun stuff?
Yeah.
See, what happens is in the church, people couldn't read the Bible. There was no Bible for 400 years. It wasn't even collected and put together. Then it wasn't, there's no printing presses. Nobody had Bibles. And even when you could, for 1,000 years, it would cost you 3 years' wages to get a Bible because it was made out of lamb's wool or skin or deer skin. You'd have to have 1,000 deer to make the pages for a book. You didn't have, what did you have? You had the gospel of the poor. You could read this church. You could bring your grandchildren in and you could tell them the story and you could do the whole parallels, Old and New Testament. Even if you couldn't read a word, the churches became the gospel, the book of life for the poor. And you could, and the illiterate. Even today, half the world can't read, but they can read this. They can understand this, and that's why I love these churches. That's why I love typology. So anyway, there's your, for some of you, your first lesson in typology.
There's a lot more, huh?
Oh, there's a lot.